I just want the Department of Homeland Security to stand down on our next guest, Representative Greg Steube. He's the congressman from Florida. He lives in Sarasota, and he has 4 dogs. And my rule is for cats, and Homeland Security should be alerted. You are a weirdo cat lady, most likely, or you're going to end up with whole bunches of cats and your dead body half eaten by the cats at some point in your future. But dogs are a different story, so stand down. Greg Steube is with us. Hi, Greg. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? 4 rescue dogs, I might add.
Wow. So they could go over to the cat lady's house at some point and, well, at least
there
find the
be
body.
Any cats left.
So, yeah.
Two of them are
killed, okay. So. Good. Okay, so Greg, last night, historic vote. The GOP, the House members voted to impeach Mayorkas. First time since 1870, only the second time in our history.
Yeah, amen. And thankfully, Steve Scalise was back to help us get that over the hump, because we had 3 Republicans vote no. I can't, for the life of me, understand how you couldn't support impeaching Mayorkas with the systematic failures, repeated systematic failures, the deliberate and intentional violations of federal law every single day at our border. But thankfully, we got that done last night by 1 vote. And it's my understanding that on the 26th, the trial will begin in the Senate, and the Senate is not in session this week or next week, so they're going to convey those impeachment articles when they get back.
Right, and that means Justice Roberts will be coming to the Senate, and he will sit and hold a trial. But if you couldn't get, with all of the information, it's not just the 3 Republicans, which are, did you talk to them? Do you know why they voted against? Is it just because they are in purple areas?
No, actually, most of them are in very Republican districts. Ken Buck has announced his retirement. It's been rumored and reported that he's looking to go to CNN, so that probably explains his decision. McClintock is in a Republican district in California. Gallagher is in a Republican district in Wisconsin. And what's interesting is less than a week after that vote, I think it was days of voting no, he announced that he was retiring and not running for re-election. I imagine because his district lost their mind and blew up his phone and his office and his staff as to why he would vote against that.
So if you can't get all of the Republicans on board with some really compelling evidence, I don't think there's a question. How exactly are you thinking this is going to go in the Senate, or is that not the concern of the House?
Yeah, we can't obviously control the Senate. They have to, by the Constitution, open up a trial. It is my guess that they're going to move it to a committee to try to keep it out of the limelight and let a committee, quote unquote, investigate it. That way they kind of bury it. But they have to move on it. I also anticipate, because it's run by Democrats, that at some point they'll move to dismiss the impeachment because it's a majority Democrat over there. I don't know if that's a majority vote or a 60% vote. My guess would be that's a majority vote. But this is affecting Democratic districts as well. And I'm shocked that all of these Democrats in the House voted against it, because some of these Democrats are in Trump-won districts. And this is going to be a huge election.
Wait a minute. It doesn't even have to be a Trump one. Chicago, the Democratic activists on the ground in Chicago are saying enough is enough. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. I don't know how they are going to face their voters either.
Yeah, I think politically it helps us tremendously, especially in these moderate districts, or these districts that are currently inhabited by a Democratic member of Congress. And we've got Trump on the ballot in November, and hopefully his coattails will be long enough to bring people over, and we'll garner more numbers in the House. But the systematic intentionality and deliberately violating of federal laws on the border, and the things that they put in place soon after they came into office, after Trump had put in place all these policies that were working, is completely impeachable. I'm frustrated it took 3 years to get to this point, but he has no business being in charge of our border.
So we have also a news story coming out that it was Mayorkas that said no to Secret Service detail for Robert F. Kennedy, which is crazy. If anybody knows what happens to people that run and their name is Kennedy, it would be the Kennedy family. And he said no to Secret Service for Robert F. Kennedy. Some would say that's a real political move, but they asked for records. Judicial Watch just got the records from him. They were 99 mostly blank and redacted pages of information. I mean, there doesn't seem to be anybody, or very few, that are actually looking out for the country, the history of our country, the future of our country. It seems to be a game for so many in Washington.
I have never seen in my lifetime, and obviously this has happened and become illuminated in the last couple of years, the complete weaponization and politicization of every facet of the executive branch, from the DOJ to the FBI to Homeland Security, using all of their power to go after Trump, using all of their power to ignore things that Democrats do, using all of their power to go after conservatives. And I'm on the weaponization committee as well, and we've done a lot to illuminate that for the American people. But, of course, the mainstream media is not going to talk about it. You'll talk about it. Conservative people will talk about it, but the mainstream media is not going to talk about it. But it is so deeply rooted, and it goes back to before Trump got elected, where the DOJ and the FBI were spying on Trump's campaign. I mean, that's how deep rooted the deep state is in Washington, and exactly why we need Trump in the White House to do away with all of this crap.
So this just came out today. Central Intelligence Agency set off the Russian collusion hoax in 2016 when U.S. intelligence officials recruited foreign governments to spy on Democrats' American political opponents. Substack publications, Private and Racket, or Public and Racket, revealed new details about the origins of the Spygate hoax. Multiple credible sources tell Public and Racket that the United States intelligence community, including the CIA, illegally mobilized foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors long before the summer of 2016. The U.S. intelligence community asked Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance to surveil Trump's associates and share the intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies. I mean, this goes so far beyond the pale, stuff that we have instinctively suspected, but now it is verified over and over, and nothing changes.
Yeah, and not only were they going on offense against their political opponents, President Trump, but they are also going on defense. Remember those 51 intelligence officials that said, oh, the Hunter Biden laptop is just Russian disinformation, all of them signing a letter, and then mainstream media runs with, oh, the Hunter Biden laptop's just Russian disinformation. All of the working with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden on all these foreign deals, Russian disinformation. And, of course, later we find out the laptop's true. All the information on the laptop is accurate. Bob Alinsky was just up here not too long ago giving testimony that it was all about Joe, and all of these foreign leaders knew that and had meetings with him. The weaponization of the intelligence community, the law enforcement arms by the deep state should worry everybody in this country what's going on up here.
And I don't want to see it, continue to be used by the Republicans just as much as I don't want to see it used by the Democrats. This should concern every American. We lose the very fundamental principles of who we are and what we expect from our government. There is, when the bad guys are in cahoots with the police, who do you call? Who do you call? There's nobody to protect you.
And that's a great point. There's Republicans and Democrats that are to blame for this. And just this week, they're going to try to reauthorize FISA, the very program that allowed these intelligence officials to spy on Trump's campaign.
Is that going to the House first or the Senate?
Yeah, there's
Senate's
a bill this week
out,
on the
so
House
it's going to be.
And I filed a bill that would repeal the Patriot Act, which created the larger pieces of FISA that allow people without warrants in violation of your constitutional rights to surveil you under the guise of quote unquote domestic terrorism. There's a reason why Nancy Pelosi and the deep state calls conservative Republicans domestic terrorists. It's so that they then can use FISA to spy on you as domestic terrorists.
Correct. So can you come back on the show next week before that bill goes up for a vote? Let's see if we can get some phone calls to Congress to make sure that that's not renewed. That thing has got to stop. It is so out of control. And they keep saying, "Oh, well, we fixed it." I'm sorry. I don't trust the people who have violated it to fix it. No. So, absolutely. Greg, thank you so much.
The abuses are so deep. Yeah, they are. We've reported on them for a very long time. Greg Steube, the congressman from Florida. We'll talk to you hopefully next week. Thank you so much.